research on bees, which a lot of people don't know. But anyways, if you go to his books on meteorology, you will find that he's done studies on bees. This is what Aristotle has to say. And actually, Aristotle did make some scientifically correct statements regarding bees. Aristotle discovered that there were 3 categories of bees. And he discovered that there was such a thing as a leader bee, which today we know are queen bees, as well as drones and workers. So he did make some correct, discoveries inside modern science when it comes to bees. But that can very easily fall under the category of, F, that this is something which is observable, meaning if you study the beehive, you're going to see the same thing. Anyways, here's an important point on Aristotle. Aristotle also made many scientific errors regarding bee study. I'm going to give you 7 scientific errors which Aristotle made. Aristotle, first of all, thought that the queen bee was actually a male, which is wrong. It's female. Number 2, he thought bees do not give birth to young, but they fetch their young from flowers, which is actually false. We know that bees are actually hatched from eggs. Number 3, Aristotle thought bees come from olives, which is, of course, we know is not true. He said the honeycomb of the bee is actually made from flowers. This is false. The honeycomb is made from wax. He knew of beeswax, though, and he thought that the beeswax comes from the gum of trees, which is completely scientifically inaccurate. It comes from the wax glands of the bees. He said female bees do not sting because nature does not provide females with weapons. But this is also false, because female bees are the ones that are stinging you. They're the ones with the stingers. The male bees don't have stingers. And he basically thought that the worker bees were basically sexless, meaning they had no male or female part to them. And so these are basically 7 scientific errors which Aristotle made. Now, I want to ask a question. I want to raise a point here. What is the scientific truth over scientific error ratio for Aristotle? Well, I believe it's 1/7, right? For one scientifically correct statement, he made 7 errors. And that's reasonable. There's nothing wrong with that, because that's how scientists learn and make discoveries. They make these discoveries by trial and error method. Anyways, so let's say that let's say the author of the Quran really liked Aristotle's work. He thought it was incredible. Wow, this is great stuff. If he was going to copy from Aristotle's book, you know what's going to happen? The same thing which happened to me in high school. He's going to copy many of the wrong and false statements into his book. Am I right? If you're going to use this book to copy from, you're in big trouble, because there's a lot of scientific errors in there. So that's why the point which I would like to raise here is that if we are going to entertain, going back to this point which I raised, that if we're going to entertain this possible scenario, which is G, the information already pre-existed in history, and the author of the Quran simply plagiarized from another source, well then, what we're going to have to find, you will have to also show us many of the scientific fallacies that the author of the Quran also copied from, right? Because how did he know what to copy and what not to? So that's my point here, that's the only way we can entertain this particular objection or this particular possible scenario. That if you're going to say he copied from the book, then show us other things that he copied from that book, right? And if you cannot show that, then we cannot entertain this possible scenario, logically. Anyways, let me ask another question. What is the ratio of the scientific error over scientific truth for the Quran in relations to bee study? Who can tell me? Well, it's 1/0. Aristotle's was 1/7. The Quran is 1/0, which means that the author of the Quran could not have plagiarized this from any source.